Hello, my name is Skylar Smith, and my presentation is going to be on the movie Autumn Marathon. It's a 1979 film by Giorgi Danilia. It won three awards for Best Picture or Best Foreign Film at the Berlin Film Festival in 1980, the Venice Film Festival in 1979, and the San Sebastian Film Festival in 1979. It's a story about a man named Andre and his wife and his mistress and his relationships with them. His wife Nina is older than Allah, and Andre is significantly older than Allah. Um, the movie itself opens up with a scene inside of we begin it perspective of what Andre and Allah how they know each other, and it's from work. Andre is a translator. He translates things like texts into Russian, and Allah is a scribe for him while he's doing so. So she's sitting there typing this out, typing out what he has to say, and she's completely admiring everything he has to say. The way he translates things is really beautiful. But it would appear as though the affair had been going on for a little while. But Allah was talking to Andre, and she's like, "Yo, you should have a child with me. That way, your child would be as skilled, if not more so, than you are." Um, and Andre, before it opens up to the like opening credits scene or whatever, he says, "You know that I cannot change anything in life," which is foreshadowing throughout the entire film because Andre does not change anything himself in his life. Andre is a victim of his circumstances and is just going around along with the flow. Um, Nina is a lot less well off from what Andre and his wife Nina would appear to be. She lives in an apartment that's rather shabby, and Nina and Andre are sort of bourgeois characters, as though they have significantly more money, and whenever nice things come around, like the jacket that Andre got, Nina just rips it up and throws it in the street. Like a cotton jacket in Russia, from the movie, was really expensive. Um, there's lots of awkward feelings in this movie, lots of uncomfortable silences that go on for too long without much dialogue, and a lot of melancholy and sadness. And while this is said to be a comedy, nothing good happens in it. It reminded me a lot of the Twelfth Night. Had the Twelfth Night not ended like as happily as it did, if the Twelfth Night were to end very tragically, then you would have Autumn Marathon. There's a character who comes around with Bill Hansen, who's a professor from Denmark, with Andre, and he brings over a bottle of vodka and gets them into all kinds of trouble, and he acts sort of as like the drunkard, like Toby figure in the Twelfth Night. But something that came up in that, which was really interesting, was "Aren't we having a good time?" That was frequently said between whenever all three of the men were hanging out, and it was interesting because at no point in the movie was anybody really actually having a good time, especially not on the screen time. And there's foreshadowing to good times having been had, like a subplot, but not physically in the plot of the movie. Um, I like to depict, or I like to think of Andre as a man who actively does nothing. While he finds himself in these awful situations, he doesn't do anything to get himself out of them. Even though, like, the answer is like, well, you could choose one or the other. Um, he doesn't make a decision. At the very, very end, referring back to where he said, "You know that I cannot change anything in my life." Throughout the whole ordeal of the movie, Andre is trying to sort out. He seems like he is significantly more in love with Allah than he is with Nina, and at the end, Nina or Allah is upset by the fact that he hasn't made a decision yet, and so she sends Andre away and sends another man who they had met on a bridge in the park on a walk together. She sends this man over to Andre's house to tell him that he's no longer welcome in Allah and Uncle Kolya's house. But so upon hearing this, he tells his wife as they're traveling to see their daughter off that the affair's over and she can't stand it. She thinks that he's lying again, but he's telling the truth, and she leaves him. And then in the final scene of the movie, Andre is relieved to be out of the ordeal without any woman. But his wife walks back in the door as just after Allah had called him and asked him, like, have you made a decision about the affair yet? And Nina walks inside and says, your affair is really over, right? And he says yes to both women. At the end of the movie, we find ourselves in the exact same spot that we were. It's really a comedy without happiness. It's a really frustrating movie. Really hard to watch whenever it's referred to like it's a comedy in another language, but there's not actual humor in a way that's like laughable. And that's all I have. You guys have a wonderful weekend.